everyone. In today's video, we are going to create a to-do list. So a to-do list application we are going to create using HTML, CSS and JavaScript, and we are also using a little bit of Bootstrap here. So for that, you need to have Visual Studio Code installed in your system. So let us begin the creation of to-do list application.
Now, once Visual Studio Code is installed, next step is to create a folder for our to-do list program. So I have created a folder. Inside that, there is one more folder called images, and I have added 2 images in this. This is totally optional. Uh, if you want, you can add a background image for our to-do list application. Now open the folder which we have created in the Visual Studio Code. So once you open the folder, you will see that the images folder is there and there are 2 images. Now the next step is to create 3 files. One, we need an HTML file, another a CSS file, and third is a JavaScript file. I have saved the first HTML file in the name of index.html. Second, I am creating a CSS file called style.css. And third, I am creating a JavaScript file with the name main.js. So you can choose a language, and I'm choosing the JavaScript here. And yeah, the JavaScript file is created. Now add HTML5. This is the HTML5 boilerplate code. So next step is to link the CSS and the JavaScript files here. So link relation style sheet, and we will add the CSS file name here. Script is the tag which is used to add the JavaScript file. Next, we have to add the Bootstrap, jQuery CDN, as well as Awesome CDN. I'm using Awesome 4.7 here. Add the Bootstrap and the jQuery CDN into the HTML file. I'll add the URL of all this uh, inside our in the description box. Now, next, let us create the to-do list. So for that, first I'm creating a container called uh, a, a div with the class name container, and inside that I'm going to create a card. So to understand what is a card, go to the Bootstrap website, and this is the getbootstrap.com. This is the site for Bootstrap, and then search for cards. Select the version which we are using. I am using 5.1.1, and just type cards, and this is the layout of a card. So I'm using a card with a header. So this is how our card looks like. So inside this I am using a card body, and inside the card body I am adding a header. For extra spacing I'm adding a padding of 4. Now let's create a card header, and inside that I am adding a heading to-do list app. Now let's open the HTML file and see how our app looks like. Yes, it is coming out pretty well. Now, next, let us add the input box where we will type our task. So yes, we will create one more container. one more div with the name text container, and inside this we will create an input box. And we will keep a placeholder text, enter your task here. Step is to add the navigation bar, all active and completed. For that, create an unordered list of the class navigation in nav, and we are using the nav pills class here for our navigation. So we will understand what is this nav pills. We will go to the getbootstrap.com site and search for this nav pill navigation. And these are the different types of navigation bars, and yeah. So this is the nav pills. So it will be displaying like this. You can use a different style if you want it. Instead of pills, you can directly use the tabs. And inside this, I'm going to create 3 list items or nav items, all active and completed. So our nav items are created. Next step is to add the unordered list where we will add our tasks. So for that, create one more unordered list called class name as to-do list. And I'm adding some list items into this, as we can see here. So what we need is we need a checkbox and a list item, as well as one delete icon or the trash icon. So as the list items, I'm creating a checkbox of the type checker, and text as learn jQuery. And now next we will add a, a span element, and inside this we will add the uh, icon for that dustbin. So for that, go to the site of Font Awesome and select the version as 4.7 and search for trash. So this is the one which we are going to use. So just add this inside the span tag. So it will be displayed like this. Now copy this so that we will get 3 more rows and change the tasks. HTML part is completed. Now let's add some styling. So for the list items, I'm adding a padding of 20 pixels so that the space will be increased. Now let's add some styling to our span item. So I am giving a height and width of 60 pixels, and I am making it text align as center, and the float I'm keeping it as right so that this will be displayed in the right side. Now the styling is also completed. Let us go with the functionality. So open the main.js file. jQuery code always start with this DOM document.ready since the script will be starting to execute only once the document or our HTML file is completely loaded. So now let us add the functionality. So as a first step, we wanted to add the whenever we press enter key, the particular task should be added into the list item, added as a list item. So let us add code for that. So when we click on the input box and when we click on the key press of event as 13, 13 means enter key. So when you press enter, that item should be added into the list. So I am adding a condition. If the event is that is the event key press event is 13, then I am getting the value of our text item into a variable to-do list item. Now I am clearing of the value of the text box, and I am adding it to the to-do list, appending it to the to-do list. So I'll give to-do list dot append, and what do we append? We have to append the checkbox, then the list item, then the span item, our icon. Test the functionality. So if we enter a task here and press the enter key, the items are added into the list. So let us start with our next task. Next task is to, so when you click on the task item or the delete item, the trash icon, that particular list item should be removed. So I am writing a click event on the span item. So once we click on that, the parent element should be removed. That is, the parent element is the list item. Parent element of the span is the list item. So our UI, the list item is removed. So now let's test the code. Yes, the delete item is also working. Now next task is to, so when you click on the check or the checkbox, what we need is the item should be striked out and it should be moved to the completed tab. So let's write code for that. So I'm using the on method on the to-do list. On the checker element, on the checker class actually. Now let us write a class of done. So here the color will turn to gray and the text decoration will be line through. Now for the completed items, to move the completed task to the completed uh, tab, we have to add one more unordered list called complete task. So once we click on this, it should be striked and it should be moved to the completed completed list. So let's add code for that. Once you click on that item, it should be moved to the completed task, completed tab. Similarly, we will write code for all and active. In the active task, only the active, that is the completed, should not be displayed. So we will add the completed task, we will hide the completed task unordered list. So we will write the code for this. So for once we click on the completed task item, the the to-do list should be hidden and the completed task should be displayed. So this should be the method show and hide we will be using here. When we click on the all tab, both the completed and the active should be displayed. When you click on the completed, only the completed task, and active means only the active task should be displayed.